Because what's not clear for me, I'm happy we're using the word clarity again. And what's not clear for me is I have gas in abundance in my country, and I have a major player that can also take some of these gas and sell to others outside Nigeria. And I'm being told that I can put on that switch and get a flicker of light because there's not enough gas. It doesn't come clear to me. If it doesn't is not clear to me, then I wonder if it's going to be clear to the other man who's not even in the urban areas. What do you think is the problem, knowing full well that you are in the business of gas? What do you think that we should be doing as a nation away from the PIB? There must be, as I say, a temporary solution to all of this, to the extent that we can now say we have been able to get to a certain level that is comfortable for us as a people. What do you think we should be doing, and how can NLNG help in that regard?
I think, many people today forget that there used to be a time in this country that nobody could even call each other on telephone. We now take for granted the use of mobile phones. But there was a time in this country nobody could, you couldn't call your mother in the village, you couldn't call your friends overseas. But when the government put in quite a lot of focus on that, I think today it's a different story. And I think the same is true for power as well. I think with the right focus, with the right commitment, this is not an issue that is insurmountable. As I've said, firstly, you have to diversify the sources of power. You cannot have a situation where the whole country thinks the solution for power is gas. It just does not work. So you have to diversify, and I think government is doing things in that direction. They work in the hydro area. There are a number of projects going on in that area. I think there's still a lot in the renewables we haven't done. Solar, especially in the north, hydro as well. Wind as well. Hydro a lot in the Middle West. So I think firstly you have to do that. But if you come to gas again, as I said, now the government has privatized the IPPs, and a lot of power companies are now in private hands. I expect the conversations now to be a lot more commercial and a lot more in the direction of resolving
it is issues. Commercial, and very controversially so as well, in terms of the charging, the metering system. So all that is out there for NERC to sort out. We hope that they do in quick as possible time the areas that they haven't. But let me see if we could typologize an example that works about gas to power, because we've got 80% of our plants. Yes, they are thermal. Yes, they need to think of alternative means, and I think the government has said they will do that. How did yours work? I mean, you say you're providing 350 megawatts in Bonny, 24 hours uninterrupted power supply. What did you do right? How did you do it to ensure that it works? Because we have many others that are not working as yours is.
Yeah, I think, you always have to look through, what makes businesses like the oil and gas industry work. And one of it, for example, is, you must have clear agreements in place that you fulfill and you honor. And one of the things NLNG is known by our customers is that both our sellers and buyers, is that we fulfill our agreements. So we pay on time, we pay rates that can enable them to really invest.
That's gas now?
Yes, to invest in gas. Because up until now, expectation that people could invest in gas at the rate that were being paid for gas by the domestic was not feasible. I mean, just to give you an example, an oil rig, which you use in drilling, in some cases offshore could be $200,000, $300,000 a day. Those are not kind of investments you make without clarity on the commercial side of things. And so that was part of the problem previously, was that you didn't have good commercial agreements that could enable those investments. With the new players, with the new private investors, those kind of clarity will be in place. Just to give you an example, we pay probably 20 times what used to be paid previously to the gas suppliers to buy gas from them. 20 times what you are paying domestically.
If you pay 20 times.
The truth of the matter is, I think you've hit the nail on the head for quite a number of people. In terms of pricing, there is that disparity in terms of domestic pricing and prices, allowed for export. the business you're in is the kind of business that the IPPs will wish that, they could afford, because according to them, the pricing is regulated, and it was seen there is no incentive for their suppliers to continue to supply them. They, on the other hand, operate in a regulated market where their prices cannot just, be dictated by the demands of, or the forces of demand and supply. And also, you also have the problem of the discos perhaps not being able to pay back on time because they too are also waiting for the consumers. So it's a very long chain. The question now is, how can the NLNG help in this particular? Is it really a business? I know that you already say that you're providing solutions where you are. You're already a part of the solution. But looking at the larger picture, how much more a part of the solution can you be?
So I think to your question around the length of the chain first, we operate a longer chain. So I don't think the problem is the length of the chain, because if you think about it that way, then I think you miss the point. The sad part today is that most Nigerians spend a lot more money to generate power by buying diesel in their generators. So to say that to have the right pricing is not appropriate is like penny wise pound foolish, because people are spending even a lot more currently using diesel. So I think the right pricing has to be paid. And I think I always use the mobile phone example. The mobile phone today is not cheap to make calls. People then control themselves. They know when to call, they know when not to call. And if you had the power up in the right pricing, people will know when to switch off their lights, when to switch it on.
Sorry, what is this right pricing?
I don't know what the right pricing is. All I'm saying is you cannot be buying gas at what it used to be, the sort of 20 cents, and expect that the investors will invest money. It's simple economics. Nobody invests money without returns. So if you will expect that investors will be investing the kind of money, I'm calling a rig. We don't make rigs in Nigeria. They have to bring it in. If it costs them $200,000 to bring it in, they have to recover their money. So the right pricing needs to be paid for them to continue the investment. And I'm saying that today, most of Nigerians already spend more generating electricity for themselves.
Okay, so you say the right pricing needs to be paid. Yeah. Now, how the right pricing should be paid? Now, let's look at that. Should there be some sort of subsidy, or, look, deregulate, let the market forces determine?
I think as we saw with, again, I keep using the mobile phones because we've done it in this country. As you allow market forces and competition to come in, I mean, we now have situations where SIM cards are being given for free. There are a lot of free calls at night or in the midnight. This didn't exist when mobile phones started.
Well, isn't it really a good example when we say the mobile phone? Because, look, almost everybody in this country depends on fuel.
Yes.
But many, they go pass on. They don't have to make those calls, some cases. So would it suffice if we use that example and then see if we could use it in the sector?
It's an example you can use to think about how you can solve a problem, and to also think about how market forces can bring down prices as well to find its level. So I'm using that in those contexts. I'm not using it to say, it's the same infrastructure and all of that.
So the principle is what you're looking at now.
Is that really feasible? Sorry, Sulaiman. Is that really feasible in terms of how critical? I know that communication is important, but power in our homes, power in the offices, and what have you, can we really say, and then for an economy that's trying to jumpstart, can we really say we can leave it to the forces of demand and supply?
What's the alternative? And your alternative is what you're doing today. People are generating power on their own at a cost that is much more higher than if you allowed those market forces to play.
Would that be the incentive for you to plow into the sector?
We are an export-oriented company, so our business is not, we're not a power generating company. We're also not a gas-producing company. We buy gas, we produce. Having said that, as I mentioned earlier, we are also concerned as a company about the power situation in the country. That is why we already do what we do in Bonny, generate 350 megawatts of power. We are looking today at other solutions to power beyond that.
Can Bonny alone, sorry to interrupt, can Bonny alone consume 350 megawatts? That sounds like a lot.
So we generate 350 megawatts for our own facility and for Bonny. That's why I say we supply them from that facility. But we're also looking today even at other solutions to support the efforts of government in power. So for example, LPG can be used to produce power as well. A bit more expensive than if you use gas. So we're reviewing that. We're already talking to a lot of the likes of technical authorities to look at how that can be made to work. We're looking at regas facility opportunities. So we're already looking at other things that we can do to also help in this situation, because we are mindful that as a country, power remains one of the most important issues for us.
You know, very quickly, nearness to source is another key thing here. Your plants are in Bonny. Your gas plants are in Bonny, right?
Yes, they are.
Are you planning of building maybe a shipyard somewhere outside Bonny and transport some of this gas to other places, maybe like Lagos?
So, as I mentioned, if you're talking of the power solution, one of the opportunities is a regas facility, which is like you could do it on a ship or on a barge, which you can put off the coast of Lagos, or you can put on River Niger on the barges, and you can supply power from those. So those are things we are looking at. And the power source can be LNG or it can be LPG. So we're looking at those sort of opportunities as well.
All right, thank you very much for coming on today. Mr. Babs Motowa is the Managing Director of NLNG.